I'm 42 years old and I've been married to my husband for almost a decade. We have a blended family. His daughter from a previous marriage lives with us full-time. She's 17, a quiet girl, polite, smart, and has never really given me any trouble. We've had our fair share of stepmom-stepdaughter awkwardness, but I'd say we've built something solid over the years. 3 weeks ago, her best friend, let's call her Ray, moved in with us. The story was that Ray's home life was a disaster. Her mom kicked her out, her dad's not in the picture, and she had nowhere else to go. My stepdaughter begged us to let her stay, just until Ray can figure things out. Now, I've never been the kind of person to turn away a kid in crisis, especially not one I've known for years. Ray's been coming around since middle school. She was always bubbly, charming, the kind of teen who seemed mature for her age. She'd join us for dinner sometimes, sleepovers, holidays. She called me Miss L and treated me with so much respect I almost forgot she was just a teenager, so we said yes. The first few days were normal. She was quiet, grateful, even offered to help clean up after meals. She thanked me every single time I did anything for her, but by the end of week 1, I started noticing small things out of place. A bottle of wine I kept hidden behind the spices was suddenly half empty. My favorite silver, nothing fancy, just sentimental, vanished from my dresser. I thought I was losing my husband swore he hadn't touched the wine, and I hadn't worn those earrings in over a month. I asked my stepdaughter it casually. She looked surprised and told me Ray would never do something. She's like my sister, she said. I let it go. Maybe I misplaced them. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But then my work laptop disappeared. That's when I stopped being polite. I tore the house apart looking for that laptop. I mean, it's not just any computer. It has all my work files, client notes, saved passwords, everything. I had it on the kitchen counter the night before, and by morning, it was just gone. At first I thought maybe my husband moved it, trying to be helpful or tidy, but he said he hadn't touched it. My stepdaughter said the same. Ray? She acted confused, like she didn't even know which laptop I meant. She even asked if maybe I left it in the car. That's when I really started watching her. I didn't want to say it out loud, God knows. Accusing a teenager who's been kicked out of her home feels cruel. But something about Ray had changed since moving in. The sweet houseguest act was still there on the surface, but if you really paid attention, it was cracking. She'd started locking the door to the guest room during the day. She was suddenly on her phone all the time, whispering, and her attitude with me was different, like she was humoring me, giving me polite, perfect answers, but watching with this cold little smile. She knew something I didn't. That same night, I told my husband I was thinking about installing cameras in the house. He looked at me like I'd lost it. He said Ray was a kid, just under stress, and that jumping to spyware was over the line. I didn't argue, but the next morning, while everyone was out, I ordered 2 mini cameras online. They arrived the next day. By then, I had another reason to be suspicious. My debit card was declined at the grocery store. Only 2 people besides me know my PIN, my husband and my daughter. I don't even think Ray could have guessed it. But when I checked my banking app, 2 charges showed up that definitely weren't mine. One from a gas station 15 miles away. Another from a convenience store at 2 a.m. That's when I got the pit in my stomach. Someone in this house had stolen my card, and I was done pretending it wasn't obvious who. I didn't say anything right away. I needed proof. The mini cameras I ordered were tiny. One disguised as a smoke detector, the other as a plug-in air freshener. I installed them that same afternoon. One went in the kitchen, the other in the hallway, just outside the guest room where Ray was staying. I felt gross about it, like I was betraying the trust of a kid in trouble. But the thing is, I didn't trust her. Not anymore. The next morning, I pretended everything was fine. I even made pancakes. Ray was sweet as syrup, asking how I slept, offering to do the dishes. She was wearing one of my hoodies, the one I hadn't seen since laundry day last week. I didn't say anything about that either. I just smiled and told her she looked cozy. I reviewed the camera footage while everyone was out later that day, and sure enough, around 2:15 a.m. the night before, Ray had crept into the kitchen, hoodie on, phone flashlight in hand. She was digging through the drawers. At one point, she pulled out my purse, unzipped it, and took something. It was hard to see what, but I knew exactly what was in that pocket. My backup debit card. She held it under her phone light, smiled, and slipped it into her hoodie pocket. Then she just walked back down the hallway into the guest room like nothing happened. The next clip made my stomach turn. Just a few hours earlier, while I was in the shower, she'd gone into my bedroom. She was in there for 6 minutes. Came out holding something small and I paused. Zoomed in was the ones I thought I'd misplaced. She had them the whole time. This wasn't some trouble trying to survive. Ray wasn't desperate. She was calculating. She was robbing me. I didn't sleep that. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured Ray walking through our house like it belonged to, picking through our things, helping herself to whatever, all while smiling. The worst part wasn't it was the feeling of. I'd opened my home, my fridge, my closet, and she'd thanked me by crawling through my bedroom when I wasn't looking. By morning, I had a decision to make: confront her or talk to my husband first. I chose the latter. We sat down in the backyard with coffee, and I told him everything. The wine, the earrings, the debit card, and now the video footage. I even showed him the clip on my phone. He watched silently, jaw tight, eyes narrowed like he was trying to find some excuse. Any reason to say it wasn't what it looked like. Then he sighed and said something that made my stomach flip. He already had a feeling. Apparently, a few days earlier, he found a wad of 20s in Ray's laundry pile. When he asked her about it, she said it was money from her mom. Some kind of last-minute apology before kicking her out. He didn't believe her, but he also didn't want to accuse her without proof. Now he had it. We agreed not to tell our daughter yet. We didn't want to put her in the middle until we figured out how to handle things. She loved Ray like a sister, and I had no idea how deep that loyalty ran. But that afternoon, things took a turn. I came home from the grocery store and saw Ray sitting on the couch, smiling at her phone. I walked past her, pretending not to care, but something about the screen. It was my bedroom. She was watching live footage from inside my room. I froze mid-step. Ray didn't notice. She had headphones in, legs crossed, casually scrolling like she was on TikTok. But I knew that view. The lamp in the corner, the blanket folded at the end of the bed, the mirror. It was our room, my room. She was watching a live stream of it. I didn't say a word. I walked straight past her, went into the kitchen, and sat at the table trying not to throw up. She had a camera somewhere in my bedroom. I tried to think. Had she planted something? Used her phone? Maybe a laptop? But how? When? The footage I had showed her in there, but only briefly. What if she was recording us the whole time? Our conversations? Our private moments? And for what? Was this some kind of sick power game? Blackmail? Or was she just doing it because she could? I waited until she went upstairs, then rushed into our bedroom and started searching every inch. Behind the picture frames, under the bed, inside the closet, behind the books on my shelves. I checked the vent, the outlets, even the air purifier. Nothing. Then, just as I was about to give up, I saw it. Wedged between two books on the headboard shelf was a black USB wall charger, one we didn't own. It looked ordinary, except for the tiny, barely visible lens at the top. A hidden spy cam. I unplugged it and dropped it into a Ziploc bag with trembling hands. I didn't know what Ray had recorded, how long it had been there, or where the footage was going. But one thing was certain. This wasn't just theft anymore. This was a violation, and I was done being polite. I waited until my husband got home before saying anything. I didn't trust myself to keep it together if I had to face Ray alone. As soon as he walked in, I showed him the camera. His face went pale. He didn't even ask questions. He just looked at me and said, "Get our daughter out of the house." I texted her to come with me for errands. No explanation. She was annoyed, but thankfully she agreed. I didn't want her to be there for what came next. While we were out, my husband confronted Ray. I wish I could say it ended with a tearful apology and her packing her things. But of course it didn't. She denied everything. Said she didn't know how the camera got there. That maybe I planted it to frame her because I never liked her. She started crying. Real or fake, I don't know. But my husband told me she was spinning so fast it made his head hurt. She even said the money in her laundry came from our daughter, claiming my stepdaughter had given her a loan to help out. She tried everything. Guilt. Manipulation. Even some weird reverse psychology, saying maybe I was just intimidated by how close she and my stepdaughter were. But my husband didn't buy it. He told her point blank. We had video proof of her stealing, and now she was under suspicion for secretly filming us. He said she needed to leave. That night. Her response? She laughed. She actually laughed. Told him she had nowhere to go, and if he kicked her out, she'd tell everyone we abandoned a homeless teen. Said she'd post about it online. Said people would eat it up. That's when it hit us. Ray didn't care about consequences. She was counting on us being too scared to cause a scene. But she forgot one thing. I wasn't scared anymore. By the time I got back home with my stepdaughter, Ray had locked herself in the guest room. She wasn't packing. She wasn't leaving. She was blasting music through the door like it was just another Tuesday night. When my husband knocked and asked her to come out so they could talk again, she just shouted that she was tired of being harassed and would call CPS if we kept threatening her. I looked over at my stepdaughter. Her face was tight, unreadable. She hadn't said much in the car, but now, standing outside Ray's door, she looked like she was trying hard not to cry. We waited until Ray went to the bathroom, then slipped into her room. I wish I could say I was shocked by what we found, but honestly, I was more sick than surprised. My missing earrings, in her makeup bag, the debit card, inside a notebook under her pillow, and the wine bottle, tucked behind a pile of laundry, with a second one I hadn't even realized was gone. But that wasn't the worst of it. Tucked inside a folder on her desk was a printed sheet of login credentials, my accounts, streaming services, email, my work portal. My banking info was scribbled in pencil, half erased like she'd been copying it down one digit at a time. That's when I finally understood. She'd been watching us not just for fun, but to collect data, to gather passwords, routines, maybe even blackmail material. This wasn't just some troubled teen acting out. Ray was running a con, and we had been her stupid, comfortable marks. I took photos of everything, then packed the folder and camera into a bag and locked our bedroom. My husband told Ray she had 24 hours to get out. No yelling, no drama, just calm, final words. And the next morning, she was gone. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. Because a few hours later, I got an anonymous message on Instagram. It was a photo of me, sleeping, taken from inside my bedroom. I stared at the photo for a full minute before I could even breathe. There I was, clearly asleep, hair messy, curled on my side in bed. It wasn't grainy or rushed. It was focused, almost artistic. Like whoever took it wanted it to look intentional, framed. It made my skin crawl. The message had no text, no sender name, just the photo. I checked the account. No posts, no followers, no following. Brand new. It had been created that morning. I called my husband into the room. As soon as he saw the picture, his entire body stiffened. He didn't even ask if it was real. He knew. We both did. Ray hadn't just recorded us. She had been watching. For how long? We didn't know. But we were starting to see this wasn't just about stealing jewelry or swiping debit cards. This was deeper. She had inserted herself into our lives, built trust, learned our habits, planted cameras, and now she was playing a new game. She didn't want money anymore. She wanted power, control, and the worst part, she still had it. Because we didn't know what she had on it, what she'd seen, what she'd shared, where those videos went. My husband wanted to go to the police, but I wasn't sure they'd take it seriously. Without direct evidence she'd sent the photo, she didn't leave fingerprints, left questions, and it was working. That night, I moved all my accounts, changed every password, reset every device. I turned off our Wi-Fi, unplugged every smart item in the house, covered vents and cameras and mirrors, like we were living in a bunker. But the damage was already done. The next morning, my stepdaughter was gone. She'd packed a small bag and left a note. You never trusted her, and you were right. But I still love her. Don't look for me. I must have read that note 10 times before I let myself believe it was real. She was gone. My stepdaughter, my husband's only child, had left. For Ray. And the worst part? I could see it coming, even before she did. They'd been close for years, but this past month it had shifted. Ray was everywhere, always in her ear, whispering, laughing, gaslighting me in subtle ways when no one was listening. I'd see them huddled together. Then they'd go silent when I walked in, but I chalked it up to teen stuff. Secret. Girl talk. I never once thought Ray would turn her against us, but she had, and now I had no idea where either of them were. My husband filed a missing persons report immediately, but we both knew how this would go. She left on her own. She left a note. She was almost 18. There wasn't much the police would do unless there was evidence of coercion, but what they did do was something we hadn't expected. They ran Ray's name, and then they asked us to come in for a longer conversation because Ray wasn't who we thought she was. Her real name wasn't Ray. That wasn't even close. She'd legally changed it a year ago after moving out of state. Before that, she'd been kicked out of 2 schools, flagged in a foster home for manipulative behavior, and had a sealed juvenile record involving identity theft and something referred to only as covert surveillance. The words made my blood run cold. This girl had done it before, and now she had my stepdaughter. The detective looked me dead in the eyes and said, "We've seen her type before, but this one's smarter than most." I didn't need the warning. I already knew. They started digging into the phone number used to send me the photo. It was a burner, bought in cash, but they were able to trace the IP it last connected to, a cheap motel 2 towns over. When the police got there, the room was empty, but the manager confirmed it. 2 girls checked in under fake names. One matching Ray's description. The other? Definitely my stepdaughter. They were already gone, but the motel room wasn't wiped clean. They left something behind. Intentionally, it seemed. Taped to the inside of the closet door was a printed photo. The same one I got on Instagram. Me, sleeping. Except this time, written in black marker across the top was a single line. "This isn't about you," and that message stuck with me. I didn't know what it meant. I still don't, but I think Ray, whatever her real name, was sending a warning, maybe a goodbye. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, my stepdaughter has called once. Blocked number. I answered before the voicemail even kicked in. She said she was safe, that she was okay, that she just needed to figure things out on her own. Her voice was steady, not scared, not angry, just distant. She didn't say where they were, didn't say when or if she was coming home. The police are still trying to track them. My husband barely sleeps. The house is too quiet. I keep the cameras up, but now they're turned inward, always watching, always recording, and every night before bed I check the closet, every drawer, every vent, every plug. I sleep with the door locked. Not because I think Ray is coming back, because I'm not sure she ever really left.